This video may well make you £2.3 million, possibly. I'm going to talk you through exactly how to build a proposal and what it actually looks like to put a proposal together which will close deals of significantly high ticket. I've taken an example from a deal that has closed recently. I'm going to walk you through what information we got from the customer from the discovery and then how we put that into a proposal that will sell when you're not in the room. People who say that you don't need a proposal are talking shit, because most of the time, even if you're the most amazing salesperson in the world, when it gets to a certain level of investment from a company, then that proposal is going to go somewhere else, or the conversations about your deal and whether or not to go ahead with you are going to happen somewhere where you're not speaking to them. So unless you're the best salesperson in the world and omnipresent, you need assets that are going to sell for you when you're not in the room, because you might speak to someone and then they'll go to their boss and try and get it signed off, and then they might go to the CFO. Now the CFO might not be involved and probably isn't going to be involved. He's certainly not going to get on many sales calls, but he will sign off the check. Unless you have assets that sell for you, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. It doesn't mean you can't close high ticket deals without proposals. It just makes it harder and the risk is more. I would like an easy life, so what I tend to do is to invest in building a proposal which covers the main pain points of my target persona. I have 75% of the proposal done as a template, but then I customize it when I speak to customers so that it brings it to life. And with short customization to a proposal, you can make your chances of winning the deal infinitely easier. If you're wondering who I am and whether I'm qualified to speak about this, then my name's Joe Milnes. I'm the founder of Revitech. I have coached sales teams that have gone from 0 to £1.2 million a month in less than 10 months. I was head of sales enablement at Vocus when they went from 40 million to 100 million pounds in revenue before their exit. And I've coached over 300 founders like you how to sell and build predictable sales systems so that they can close more deals quicker and build themselves out of the sales process. Very quickly, if you like this sort of long form geeky sales content and you want more of it and you feel that you can learn, it will help you in your business, drop a like, drop a subscribe so that you get notifications, because we'll be covering different parts of the sales process as we move on. Right, let's dive in. First thing about doing a proposal that is going to sell for you when you aren't in the room is you have to have good information to put into the proposal. If you put shit in, you will get shit out. So it's about having a good discovery with the customer where you get information that you can then put into the proposal to bring it to life. If you are struggling with your discovery, we will be doing another video on that shortly, but also check out Gap Selling or any content by Keenan. He is the discovery master, author of Gap Selling, and really Gap Selling lives, dies and breathes with the discovery, and it's incredibly good content. But the information that I'm looking to get out of a discovery is current state. So that's not just where they are now, it's a really good understanding of their business. So we sell outbound sales systems and sales processes. So I want a really good idea of how they're generating new business, how many salespeople, how many opportunities are coming in a month, what's their close rate, what's their deal cycle, all of these metrics which are around their current state. I want to know everything that is wrong and everything that is ugly about where they are now. Next, you need to know their desired state, so where they want to get to. And again, the metrics associated to that. So it's not just good saying like, oh, we want to get to double our customers. What does double the customers mean? What does double your revenue mean? Ask for specifics. You have to get this. Next is cost of inaction. So simply put, you need to know how much it costs for that customer to do nothing at all. Because if you don't know how much it's going to cost for them to do nothing at all, it's going to be very difficult to say, well, you'll get this extra if you go and implement what we're saying. The biggest objection to anything and the biggest thing that will kill your sales is inertia. It's the customer just staying and doing nothing at all. So if you imagine when you're speaking and going through a sales process, you've got a massive elastic band which is pulling the prospect back to the status quo. You have to get enough leverage to break that elastic band. So you're going to have to paint a picture of what it's costing them to do nothing and why it's not an option for them to stay where they are. Next, you want to know about the decision-making process and the framework. So certainly for bigger ticket items, which is this, like I say, it's £70,000 proposal, you want to understand not just the person that you're speaking to, but do the other stakeholders share the same views? Are they wanting to change as well? What is there that needs to happen, like outside of this conversation that you're having with the prospect. Next, you want to know is what their options are. What else are they looking at? What have they tried before? So alternatives, and what have they tried? Why didn't it work? Why didn't they think it worked? And the decision-making process and timeline. Also, throughout discovery, you should be sharing value. And the aim of the discovery is you're trying to teach that person something about their business and diagnose what the big problem or bottleneck is stopping them from growing. Your proposal should then be a map, if you like, or a step-by-step guide of saying, okay, this is where you are now. These are the problems you're experiencing. This is how you get to the next stage. And then the proposal should be a guide of that. Without further ado, how does the proposal actually look? Now, this is the most critical part of the proposal, and it's the first bit. Just to comment on this, like I've do my proposals in Notion. I like Notion. People can do them in Gamma, you can do them in PowerPoint. It doesn't matter what format it is. The format is irrelevant. What matters is you showing that you've understood that customer and that you are giving them a clear path to get what they want. You might think that this proposal is long. Damn right it's long, because if you're asking for someone to invest a significant amount of money, then they're gonna have a lot of questions. You need assets that answer all of those questions. Otherwise, if there's questions left unanswered, at best, you'll have to go on other calls to answer those questions. And at worst, they won't get answered and they'll just ghost you because they don't feel that you've got an answer to those questions. So first part of the proposal, what we understand, this is critical. Every first page of the proposal should be about the customer, not about you. Do not mention you, your company, your product, or your service on the first page of the proposal. Really passionate about that. So it's what we understand. So I like to structure this in a fixed format. So the first point I like to make is giving them a bit of kudos. Say, this is what we understand. You've successfully grown your cybersecurity platform to 1.2 million users. So we're blowing a bit of smoke and saying this is a really good thing. Then we move on to the challenge, which is this is where you're trying to get to. So you want to put a goal. This is why you can't get there. And this is what it's costing you not to get there. So it's desired state, current state, and cost of inaction. There you go. So you can post your discovery call transcript into Claude or ChatGPT, whoever, and say, I want current state, desired state, cost of inaction in 3 bullet points so I can put it into a proposal, and it will give you something very similar to this. Then you can say, and this proposal is going to outline exactly how you can get what you want without what you don't want in X amount of time. So first part, what we understand, to show you're listening and show you understand the business. Next is what you can expect. So again, this is what I like to say is like you're painting, this is the dream outcome. So this should read, the next part of the proposal should read like a shopping list of everything that they want in their business. So what you can expect, a complete go-to-market strategy, peace of mind, clarity on perfect fit prospects, confidence knowing why previous sales efforts haven't delivered, a strategic roadmap, high converting sales assets, certainty around where to invest marketing budget. So it's a shopping list really of everything that they've wanted. And you should be using the prospect's words back to them. So if they haven't mentioned this stuff, I wouldn't put it in. But if they're talking about what they want, then I will put it into the proposal. Something I could have done better here is done more outcome focused. So generally people want more revenue. So if they want 1.8 million users in a month, then you want to say X amount of users per month. This is what the proposal will deliver. It will deliver this. If you implement this recommendation, this is what you're going to get on the back of it. So a shopping list of all the outcomes that they want from your delivery. Next is our story and our results. So I've put why a bit like at the beginning of this video where I give you my credibility. I'm giving why should you listen to us? They're always thinking, okay, I want the thing that you're talking about, but can you actually deliver it? That's the perceived likelihood of success, and you have to address that in your proposal. So our story and our results. So giving some context as to why I'm qualified to make the recommendation, which is saying you need to work with us. So that's the first part of the proposal. What we understand about your business, why you can't get there on your own, and what you can expect from doing business with us, and why we're qualified to deliver that. So that's the first part. Next, we move into the mechanism. So this is saying, look, we're going to get you where you want. We're going to do everything possible. These are the steps of how we're going to deliver that. Most proposals just focus on this bit. and it's bullshit. The mechanism is almost secondary, but you just need to give them a clear path for how you do it. And we do it in this way. So we've split our process up into steps, and I approach every step in this way. This is the step. This is what most people do. This is why it doesn't work, and this is the result. This is the alternative, and this is why it works. And then proof. Okay? So every step I'm saying, this is what most people do, this is why it doesn't work, this is what we do, this is why it works, proof. It's a very simple framework, and it's very hard to argue when you say, do you know why people do that? Does it make sense that it doesn't work? Yeah, this is how we do it, and this is proof that it works. It's at every stage. Next, fueling the engine or generating leads. Well, this is what most people do, this is the result, this is what we do, this is why it works, and then proof. So video case study. So every part of the mechanism, we're saying this is what happens, this is what most people do, this is why it's wrong, and this is how we do it. And so it's step by step. And prospects don't care about what you actually do. What they just want is the outcome from each of those stages, which is why it's focused. This is what most people do. This is why it doesn't work. This is what we do. This is why it's different. Here's some proof. If you can structure that, it's going to make you convert so many more proposals. So we do the steps of what we're going to take them through. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, see, there's a lot in it. And this is what it takes to close 70,000 plus contracted deals with a proposal. It's a significant investment. And without the absence of a free trial or a short-term contract, if you're going for big high ticket items where it's very disruptive and it takes a lot of consensus in the organization to change, you need to cover off every single base. So we've covered off why we're qualified, we've covered off what they want, and it's a shopping list of everything that they get, and we've highlighted the cost of inaction. Then we've talked them through the step by steps and explained why it's essential for every step to be in the proposal. Next is we go from the emotional brain, which is where people engage and talk and get excited. But then when it comes to pulling the trigger, or if you're dealing with CFOs or finance people, then you need to do the logical part of the brain. So just to give you an example of how we do that, I've actually nicked this from another one of our proposals because it will illustrate it a lot easier. But you need to give proof on how you're able to deliver the results and make a logical connection. So what we've said is, okay, this is what you want to do. I'm going to cover exactly how we will do it and how it's based on your business. So look, these are the people that you are targeting. This is just an example. I want you to take the painting a picture. We're saying, this is what you want to get to. So this is how I'm going to show you it work. These are the people that you are targeting. Do you get that? Yes, that looks right. Okay. There are these many targets in that sector. Is that right? Yes. Okay. This is a result of an email campaign we're sending to the same market. Okay. So we're targeting the same people, and this is the results of this. Okay. So does it make sense that we can replicate that for you? Yes. Okay. Let's do some maths. And then we can talk through the different people that we are doing it for. So it's, okay, so if we've got this many contacts, contacting them and this many times a day with the same metrics and the same book rate, then this is what it looks like for you. If you get 1% of the positive response, that will equal 1.5 meetings a day, 32 meetings a month, 80% of those show up, 50% of those will be qualified, 13% active qualified, and the close rate that you gave us is around 70%. So your outbound close rate should be 20%, and this is what your MRR will look like. So we've gone over a lot there, but effectively you're saying, okay, this is what you've told us, this is what we've done for other clients. Does it make sense that these metrics would apply to you? Yes. Okay. So let's walk through what that would mean if those metrics applied to you. And then let's account for worst case scenario that it doesn't actually work for you. And then painting a picture for what it will mean on month as everything compounds and everything goes well. And that's all there is to that. Okay, we're nearly there. Next is, what are the options from here? So this is where we're really kind of closing out to the business end. So we're saying, look, these are your options. And this again is taken from the discovery framework. You can say, look, go with an agency, you could hire directly, or you can work with a consultant or continue as you are. But I'm guessing that because we've deconstructed why they won't fit or why they won't get the results, you're kind of fencing the prospect off at this point and leaving them that the only option, is to come with you or your service. So you are saying, what are your options? Okay, well, you could work with an agency, but they'll only improve one element of the bit. We do your lead flow, your sales process, and make sure that you're closing deals. You could hire directly, but the cost of hiring someone is normally a lot more costly than hiring someone, an agency, or working with us, and we'll guarantee you the results and we'll deal with all the different parts of it. You could work with a consultant, but you'll need to do all the work, or you could continue as you are. Or just one option, you could work with us and we'll solve all of the problems, do all the work and guarantee the results, and you get there easier and quicker without any of the heartache. That's it. So we are really getting to the business end of the proposal now. Next, in terms of the deliverables, this is where we use a value stack. So we say all of the output from all of our engagements. So we're saying this is what you're going to get, and we're separated out every single component part of our service and attributed a value to it. This does two things. One, it increases the perceived value of the service that you are delivering for the customer. And two, it acts as a price anchor so that when you give them the eventual price, which isn't the value, it's going to look significantly cheaper and better value than it would have done if you hadn't have done this. This is a technique used by Alex Hormozi in $100 million offers. If anyone doubts whether this works, you can check out, he did a book launch recently. He raised $105 million on a book launch in 3 days. He made $105 million using these frameworks that I'm showing you now in 3 days. So if you doubt whether that works, just go and watch them. Don't believe me. But value stack. So you're creating and you're separating out all the component parts of the service and what you deliver, and you're putting it into a tight framework and attributing a value to it. This increases the perceived likelihood of the perceived value of your product or service. And then we've gone it again and said, okay, well, or you can say, all that value, or it's the equivalent of hiring a sales development rep, a lead gen agency, a marketing manager, a sales consultant, a media buyer. That'd cost you over 20k a month. So we're really ramping up the anchor now. They should be sitting uncomfortable in the seats. What do you need to invest, Mr. Customer? And that's where we drop the price and say, this is what you need to invest. So what you need to invest, and then it's so 2,400 setup and 6,800 for 12 months. So even though that's a big number, you could say it's over 70 grand for the year. When you consider it and compare it to 20k a month for that, plus you get all of that, it should look really good value. So we've built up the value there. All of this that they need, and they've said that they need, or the equivalent of hiring all these people, and then they get it for just that. And then put some guarantees in there. Again, some people say you don't need guarantees. Guarantees will help you close business. It's been proven a million times over. I've got so much data to show that the close rate increases with the guarantees. And if you aren't comfortable putting a guarantee in place, then work on your product. It's easy to say, we'll guarantee X, Y, Z, and then make sure that you put stipulations in the contract so that obviously the client is engaging. But if you don't believe that your product is capable of delivering on that, then work on your product. Guarantees are absolutely no-brainer. And the reality is people don't want the guarantee. They want you to deliver on the actual promise that you made and have a good engagement and get them the results. Concentrate on getting them results. And even if you miss a little bit, clients, in my experience, if you've got a good working relationship, you're getting really good results, you're working with them as a partnership, they don't want their money back. They want you to add the value and help them to get what they need. After that, in the bottom, I've put a frequently asked questions. So what you need from me, that's a really important one. People often forget about this, but when people are looking through your proposal, they're not just thinking, what's the ROI? They're thinking about what's the ROE, which is the return on effort. So how much time, effort, and resource do I need or my team need to put in to get the result that we need? And that will count against you if they have to do a lot of the work. That's why done for you offers are a lot more valuable than done with you offers. How many calls will you generate? When would you start? When can I expect opportunity to be generated? What's the worst case scenario? So all of the questions, in fact, I will put all of the questions that you tend to get answered in here as a FAQ section, and it will save you doing them. And that's it. So hope you get value for that. To recap, sections of your proposals. You need to do a good discovery to get a good proposal. It's impossible to have this. Next is have the first part of the proposal what we understand, and that clearly shows current state, desired state, and the cost of inaction. You then move on to what you're going to get from this proposal, which should be a shopping list of all the outcomes that they get from dealing with you or employing your product or service. Then you should give them a reason why you're qualified to deliver those results, therefore increasing the perceived likelihood of success. Next, you want to build out your mechanism, and this should very simply be, this is each step, this is what most people do, this is why it doesn't work, this is what we do, this is why it works, proof. Simple for every single step of your mechanism. Next, you want to do the logical argument. So do an ROI calculation or something like that. So taking worst case scenario or metrics that you've done for other people and painting a picture from what they can actually expect in terms of monetary value for their effort, what their options are and why they aren't a good idea. And then what they get in terms of the service with a big value stack or the equivalent of hiring, so you're positioning against something that's much more expensive, much more valuable, and then you drop your price, which looks brilliant compared to all of that, and then you drop your guarantees, which again just solidifying that and increasing the perceived likelihood of success. Lastly, you want to cover the return on effort. So effort and sacrifice involved in getting the outcome is really important to cover off in your proposal, and you do that with the FAQs. So what is needed from me? You do that, you will have a killer proposal. The things that I've talked you through today, they work for big ticket, super high ticket consultancy engagements, but they also work on a much smaller level. If you're selling anything above 2.5K, you should have this sort of proposal in mind, because if you aren't closing what you need and you're thinking, well, it's because I don't need a proposal, if you aren't closing above 30%, then you probably do. So take these insights, hopefully it gets value. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.